by Helly Mayers.
Thank you very much for having me.
And so Helly Mayers is the author of contemporary fiction and romantic comedy. I can't read my own writing. What have I written there? Okay. Her characters are full of heart. They're sassy. They're sexy. And they're curvy as well.
Absolutely, yes, that's correct.
So, Helly, tell me about Find Me.
So, Find Me is the first book in the Danube River series. I'm going to plan to have 2 more books within the series. They will continue with the main characters, which is Miller and King. And Find Me is a contemporary body positive romantic comedy. So that means we have a curvy leading lady. We are all about the body positivity. And Mela is, at the beginning of the book, she's leaving her husband. And her husband is a narcissist, and all she wants is just to go on a holiday. So she gives him an ultimatum, either he's going to join her or his marriage is over. And all she wants to do is spend some time with her family and friends, and then she meets a very charismatic, very brooding alpha male in the form of Spaniard King. And that's where we start our journey.
Brilliant. So, how much of you is in Mela?
Well, if you were to ask my friends and people who know me and who have read the book, they would say a lot. Because to be perfectly honest with you, I started writing this book for myself because it was my journey. It was, as you can see, I'm a curvy lady. And unfortunately, I did have a couple of toxic relationships, and it took me a while to recognize the red flags and, what not to tolerate. And so I used the book basically to, work on myself, find myself again, and it was just fun to create all the characters.
Yes. Now it's notoriously difficult to see the difference between narcissism and self-absorption in a relationship. It takes years for somebody to notice it sometimes, and it's often your friends who notice it first ahead of you, isn't it? So can you tell us some of the red flags that Mela has missed?
I think it is very important to establish there is a difference between somebody who is self-absorbed or somebody who has a high self-esteem and somebody who is narcissistic. Narcissistic means they actually lack empathy. So somebody who's got high self-esteem, they might be talking about themselves, they might be outgoing. That's all fine, but they will still feel your pain. They will see that you're suffering. If you've got somebody who is a narcissist, they actually go out there. They want you to be hurt. It's the kind of like, oh, I'm really sorry that you feel that way. So they push it back to you. And I think those are the kind of like red flags we sometimes miss or we choose to ignore because it's a bit like, well, do we know if something better is out there?
Yes.
And I would just encourage, especially women, yes, there's always something better. If something makes you feel pain or something makes you feel, can't be yourself, just, listen to yourself. And as you said, listen to your friends.
She gives Henry a lot of time to change, doesn't she?
She does.
Do you think she was right to do this?
Look, no relationship is easy, and I'm not somebody who says, okay, if your marriage is difficult, give it up. That's not the point of the book. But we need to put ourselves first, I think. And so, yes, we do need to listen to the red flags. And I think at some point, it's like if the other person isn't willing to put the exact same effort into the relationship and to work on the communication, I think that's where it's like, you might be a bit too patient.
And then the Spaniard king comes along with his own demons.
Yes.
Tell us about him.
So I characterized both of my characters as broken souls, and I do that with the knowledge that they are quite aware of their own trauma, and both of them recognize that they need to change things. And I think with King, he's coming from a very loving background, having a family, they are uni professors, and he's going a very different route. He's a club owner, he's a photographer, and I think he feels that kind of guilt. But at the same time, when he meets Mela, she basically brings out the best in him, the same way he brings out the best in her. And so both of them are on a journey for change.
Yes. Yes, I was going to say, what does he bring to Mela? But I think you've answered that.
I think most of all, he's very confidence boosting, and I think he makes her feel safe
Yes.
He teaches her trust, that she can trust him, and at the end of the day, true love.
Yes. Brilliant. Right. And her friends have a big role in her story, don't they?
Yes, it was good fun to create all these side characters. We don't only have the main characters, we have the side characters, and some of them are just hilarious, and we have funny scenes and scenarios. But especially with the friends, coming back to what you said earlier, your friends will tell you there's something wrong. There's something wrong in that relationship. And for example, she's got two best friends. One of them, she's more the sassy one, so she calls Henry the narcissist, or she calls him Lord Voldemort or Mr. Bean and all that kind of stuff. But then we have also Hannah, who is her best friend, and is very motherly, and she's Christian, she's a Catholic, so she should be all for keeping the marriage alive. But then we have this scene where Mira comes and she's like, Hannah is like, oh, I'm so happy you finally left him. And then Mela's like, no, I've just given him until, it's just temporarily. She's like, well, why? And then Mela is like, well, but there are other women, they have it way worse out there. And then Hannah is like, you want to wait until you're one of them? And I think that's the quintessence. If your friends tell you, you need to stop, we need to listen.
Yes, very much so. So, I know it looks like one of your priorities in choosing the ideal partner is having somebody who's 6'4". Because both King and your husband.
I will make that very clear. I wrote the book first. It's a manifestation. I met him on so there is hope out there.
Brilliant. So what are your own priorities in choosing a partner?
Somebody who is supporting, somebody who brings the best out of you, not just live two separate lives next to each other. Enjoy life together. Life is too short. Just have fun together and, as I said, just find true love.
Lovely. And it is a spicy rom-com. So there is some sex in it. Where would you put good sex in a relationship as one?
Look, even though this is a body positive romance, it's about a curvy lady, and I think all of us, we sometimes have our insecurities. And I think with the book, it was very important for me to have the sex scenes in there, but not just, for the sake of having sex in there. But quite simply, it is her journey, or it's both of their journeys. But because she has insecurities, all of a sudden she can feel free, right?
Yes.
And she can learn trust on a very intimate level. And I also thought about that scene in Bridget Jones, where basically she's trying to change, and she's got this bed linen, and Mark Darcy is like, what on earth are you doing? And that's the kind of relationship, and I think that's what they've got, the kind of like, I do not love you despite your curves.
Yes.
I love you everything the way you are. Exactly.
Well, thank you very much, Helly. And she's now going to give us a reading.
Yes. I apologize for the alien headset. But yeah. I walk over to the wooden handrail beside the plastic tables and put my elbows on top as I look over the river. King's chair makes a scraping sound as he gets up behind me. He walks over to me, steadying himself on the guardrail next to me. Disculpame, I didn't want to upset you. I honestly just wanted you to dance and have fun. I shake my head and release a deep sigh. I was not angry with you. You could have fooled me, he smirks. Looking at him, I feel incredibly guilty. It really is not his fault, it's Henry's. I was angry with myself, I admit. Why? Because I punished you for what my husband called me the last time I danced. Even though he looks at me with expectation, King does not say anything, giving me the space and the time to find the words that my mind does not even want to think about. Taking a deep breath, I decide to allow myself to remember the ridiculous burlesque night, to tell somebody else apart from Hannah what happened that night. My marriage is not the happiest, I'm sure you can tell, but a couple of months ago I tried to revive it. I start off to only scoff at my own admissions. King keeps quiet, but the engaging look on his face encourages me to continue. Catherine and I took burlesque classes here in Vienna, and I thought, why not try it in London, see what happens? I ignore King's smirk and the sudden shining twinkle in his eyes when I say the word burlesque. Henry was invited to a stag do. I had known for months and I thought I would surprise him. He and the other guys went to this club that had burlesque nights, and I thought, why not give him a little private dance after the show? The organizers were happy for me to join them in my outfit, just long enough to get Henry from his seat and to move him to a private room. I let out the air from my lungs with another loud huff. I had it all planned in my head. Something cheeky, something sexy, something to remind him I'm his wife. He did not find it cheeky or sexy, and he certainly did not want to be reminded that I was his wife. Quite the contrary. He dragged me out of the club and put us in the next cab home, all the way calling me ridiculous. You're fat. Your dress is ridiculous. Your dancing was ridiculous. You made me look ridiculous. How can anybody be attracted to a fat cow like you? Swallowing the tears in my throat from the painful memory, I stopped the story where it starts to get really painful after we got home. King does not need to know that part. Nobody needs to know that part. The memory of that night, voicing what happened, sets my pulse racing, and I avoid looking at King so that he cannot see the first signs of a panic attack creeping up in my eyes. Going through my mental mantra, I steady my breathing as I had learned as a teenager, long before I met Henry. Dios mio. King's voice is quiet, and I'm not sure if it is pity or sorrow on his face. I'm so sorry, Mella. I should have never called you out like that. It is not your fault. You did not know about that night or what my husband said. It is something I must deal with. King clears his throat and seems to think hard about what to say. Tell me to go to hell for overstepping, but he pauses for a second. I think he's a cabron for saying that. I'm sure you were anything but ridiculous that night. I nod softly. There is the kindness back that I had missed so much this morning. The one that chases away the harsh coldness and only brings warmth to my heart. And I'm glad that you're back. The place is not the same without you. I bite my lip to avoid showing too much of a grin. He missed you. The signs of panic that had swept through my body a few moments ago remind me of earlier, and I checked Pink's bruise across his eyebrow. Are you okay? My gaze lingers on the little wound with a bloody crust above his left eye. Sure, why? The guy hit you earlier and you were bleeding. Are you all right? That little scratch? It's nothing, he laughs it off. It did not look like nothing. It looked rather scary. Hey, I'm a big boy. It takes much larger guys to do any real damage. He pats himself on the chest. I still did not like it, I admit. Me getting hit? He winks at me. Yes, I swallow hard. I do not like violence generally, but certainly not seeing someone I know getting hurt. I have done self-defense, so I know some martial arts moves, but I did not like seeing you bleed. King leans his full weight on his elbow against the wooden beam of the railing, brushing my thumb with his ever so slightly as my hand rests on the plank. For somebody who can be so intimidating, Warrior Queen, you are a very empathetic person, he says in a husky voice. People might think you care about me. I do. I say a little too fast, even though I know he's teasing me. You do? He asks with a mixture of playful banter and surprise. I give him an honest answer. I do. Good to know, he says, a soft smile curling his lips. You're a good listener, I tell the truth. It's easy to be a good listener if you meet someone who's got something interesting to say. There is a pause which should feel uncomfortable, but as always, it does not. I understand why Catherine chose to tell him about her issues with Cristiano. To an extent, I even understand why she kissed him. Not that I will ever get to know what that feels like, even though we just had skin-to-skin contact, but that was pure coincidence, nothing else. The girls he surrounds himself are a world away from me, skinny, stunning, and single. So not me. Will I get a chance to dance with you tonight? King brings me back from my thoughts. There are lots of pretty girls in the club. I'm sure they are much more fun to dance with. The ones I apparently care more about. There is a hint of hurt pride in his voice. I think my little home truth earlier hit him more than he wants to let on. I do not judge his lifestyle. It would not be for me, but who am I to judge if it makes him happy? I did not mean anything by it. You are surrounded by gorgeous girls here. I'm not surprised you enjoyed that. King looks at me intensely. There are pretty girls, and then there are beautiful women. I know which I prefer to dance with. There is a look on his face that I recognize. It is neither dirty nor teasing. It is the one from the night at the restaurant. It is full of longing, making my heart beat faster as he keeps the stare. It is a moment. Truthfully, we've had a few of them in the past few days. Teasing, flirting, arguing, but not like this. This is different territory. Dangerous territory. I don't know, maybe my husband is right. Maybe somebody like me should not dance. I'm deflecting from too much electricity flowing through my body. Somebody like you, he looks at me quizzingly. You know, a fat girl. I try to make fun of myself with a wide grin, but King looks at me sternly with narrowed eyebrows. Stop putting yourself down. I told you, it doesn't suit you. You're not a fat girl. If anything, you're a curvaceous woman, and you should move those hips the way they're meant to, any way you want. Deep black eyes are meeting mine, and his gaze is going through to my core. This time I can try as much as I want, but the butterflies do not stop fluttering. However much I try to convince myself that he's not my type, it is becoming increasingly evident that I'm lying to myself. Just because I do not want him to be my type does not mean he is not my type, especially when he says things like that. King keeps looking at me as he suddenly hums like he has just thought of something. What is it? I try to find my inner composure again after a little moment. Just the sun in your eyes. It brings out those golden spots inside the brown. And there is my composure gone again. One of the side effects of my panic attacks is sudden headaches, like the one that is coming on now. So I move my neck and turn my head to the left and right to relax my neck muscles. Are you okay? Yes, my neck is stiff, which gives me a headache. I should go home and lie down, I say, whilst trying to give myself a bit of a massage. King moves behind me, and before I can do anything about it, he puts his hands on my shoulders. Tensing up immediately, I want to move from his grip. Don't worry, I'll be fine, I try to escape, while still acutely aware of King's body behind me. There was a reason why I tried to avoid his touch earlier in front of the mirror, or his hand on mine, and the little touch of his thumb was certainly proof enough. You fancy him, the irrational thought informs me. I try to protest against my inner thoughts, but the way I enjoy King's hands on my skin makes it pretty much futile. Relax, you're all tense. No wonder you're having a headache. Loosen up. His thumbs are kneading through the muscles of my shoulder blade. It feels divine. Not just the slow disappearance of any knots in my muscles, but the simple fact of being touched by the strong hands of a man, or anybody for that matter. I begin to relax into his movements and close my eyes. That's better. Take deep breaths, he says. I do as I'm told and breathe in and out. I'm an expert in using the technique for other reasons, but it helps keep the butterflies at bay as I finally relax, treating it like a massage anyone could give me. I block out that King is king and that we just flirted the hell out of each other. It is just flirting, just a harmless little fun. I'm sure by tonight he will have forgotten about me. How does that feel? I hear King's voice humming in my ear. It feels so good, I answer before my brain can react to how that might sound. I still have my eyes closed, and King continues to massage my back over the fabric of my dress, using not just his thumbs, but all his fingers to work my stiff muscles. In my divine bliss, it takes a few seconds for me to notice when he stops the massage, but is standing completely still behind me. I must almost lean against him so our bodies do not touch. I turn slightly and see from the corner of my eyes his hands next to the exposed skin of my shoulders, hesitating for a second, unsure whether he should proceed. But then he moves in closer until I feel his flat hands against the skin of my shoulders. But this time it is not a massage. He is caressing me. His left hand strokes the skin of my shoulder whilst the palm of his right hand softly moves over my other shoulder, with his thumb gently rubbing the nape of my neck up and down. His fingers are exploring my body. The last time I felt this kind of touching was a long time ago, long before Henry. Henry would never touch me like that. He would not touch me, full stop. The touch of King's hands is soft and gentle and caring. It makes my body react instantly. All the butterflies flutter by, not just in my stomach, but also lower regions. Plus, my body responds physically with a shiver down my spine. Of course King can feel the vibration underneath his hands. Are you feeling cold? It is a genuine question. Quite the opposite is true. I feel a heat I have not felt in years. It is not just the undeniable sexual tension, but the simple fact of being touched. Kindness. This morning I mourned the loss of it. Having it back is almost too much to process. There are tears in my eyes, and I choke hard to hide them. But it is too late as King notices them as they roll down my cheeks. Perdonami, I've upset you again. Lo siento. With panic in his voice, he lets go of me immediately. I quickly wipe the tears from my eyes, turn around and give him a reassuring smile. You have not, quite the opposite. It has been a while since somebody has been that kind, touched me like that. Thank you. The way he looks at me changes and something also shifts in me, like a deep understanding and connection between two broken souls. And another, any time, he says, still staring at me, and it seems to take him a second to realize what he just offered. The last thing I want for him is to feel awkward, and so I turn to leave. I better get home, thanks again. I give him another quick smile and take the few steps to the footbridge. Mela? I know I should not, but I turn back in his direction. If you ever need a friend to talk to or just to be with, come and find me.
Really good. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
So well.
Signed books are available here.